Healthcare Strong fam. Today I have the honor of introducing John McFadden, co-owner and CEO of Devine Juicery Nutrition. Him and his beautiful wife are soul-centered entrepreneurs, truly starting their business from a place of wanting to help heal from the inside out. So, John, welcome.
Thanks for having me. Grateful to be here.
Thank you. So, for the next 30 minutes, my goal is to give our nurses and healthcare workers in the community almost like a masterclass on juicing. I just completed my 7 days of juicing. I did the gut cleanse, and not only did I lose 8 pounds, but my energy is up the roof. My bloating went down, my inflammation went down. I feel lighter, I feel more energized. So I just want to share this with the nurses. And it was my first experience juicing since I think I told you like
Yeah.
10 or 15 years. I did the lemon cayenne pepper cleanse. This was a totally different experience because all of the fruit was like delicious and I actually enjoyed it. So I'm excited to hear from the expert today.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad the cleanse went so well for you. That's the first and most important thing. But I think that when it comes to juice cleansing, there are so many benefits to it. And essentially all we're doing is just activating parts of the body that need to be just rejuvenated again, right? Activate the cleansing pathways in the body, the upregulate the anti-cancer fighting pathways, replace damaged cells. And each day during the cleanse, different parts of the body are being reactivated to perform their tasks to increase longevity and to actually rebuild the body once more. That's the cool thing about it. So, like, for example, I'm sure you probably experienced this on day one. You might have had a little bit of hunger, right? Just a little bit, nothing too crazy. But in day one, the body is actually going through a conversion process. So it's moving, and most people don't realize this, right? But the body adapts to the type of fuel source you give it. So if you consume a lot of carbohydrates or refined carbohydrates, I should say, or refined or processed foods, the body will begin to run off that. It's a very easy fuel source to grab from, but it's not its natural food source. It loves to run on fat. Fat is a very clean, slow burning fuel source. The heart loves it, the brain loves it. And so going on a cleanse, that first day, we're depleting that glycogen storage, right? So, and not only that, if you love coffee or you love taking those stimulants, there's another factor that happens is we can experience withdrawal. And that withdrawal happens from D2 receptor downregulation. Because if you think about it, dopamine is that feel-good chemical, right? You make a good sale in your business, you feel good, right? If you have coffee, it makes us feel really good, caffeine stimulant. Well, if we take that away, our body's going, hey, where's the hit? Now, the brain has to protect itself because if we gave it that much stimulation, essentially, so it will begin to downregulate those D2 receptors to protect itself. So we need more caffeine. We need more donuts. We need more soda. All those things are in a higher amount. The same way someone that was on hardcore narcotics, right? They need a bigger hit. It's the same process, just different outcomes. And so now the chemistry of the brain has been altered. So now we need to we have to reestablish a connection again, bring it back online. And so that's where the withdrawals, not everyone goes through it, but some people go through it, happens. That's that first day phase. You move into day two, now things get a little more interesting. Now that hunger hormone, ghrelin, now becomes a bit more suppressed, right? So now the hunger isn't as intense, but we're reestablishing that. Now autophagy comes into play. Now I'm sure the nurses, you guys know about autophagy already, but for those that don't, autophagy is when it's the breakdown of old cells, right? Or cells that are no longer really efficient at doing their job anymore. And the body naturally will begin to start the cleanup process. Now, the reason why I love this phase and talking about it is because this is where cancer really begins to stem from. If we have damaged old cells there, and these cells then begin to, so to speak, they have the ability to pass on their genetic mutations. This is where we see the birth during the cell cycle of cancers begin to form. But the body is so magnificent, it knows, hey, after 72 hours, it's time for me to start cleaning the house. And so now the body's own systems begin to clean up or to begin to eradicate these old cells. And so when we go on these juice fasts, we create the environment for that to happen. And then from there, days 3 and day 4, we start to see stem cell production go up. We all know stem cells are like the holy It's like the fountain of youth, right? You see someone that just eats super healthy, they look so young. They're full and vibrant, and so when we can activate these stem cells, now we begin to see old white cell counts go down, but they're not going down for no reason. They're being replaced with new and healthy white cells. So now we're actually rebuilding the immune system. Day 5, we're seeing a whole new gastrointestinal tract being created every 3 to 5 days. And so we get to see all these magnificent benefits of doing the fasting. Yes, healing is going to occur. And all we're doing is taking what the body needs, giving it the building material, and it's watching it rebuild itself once more. And so we feel great. We have all this energy. We look young again, so yeah, it's great.
That's amazing. You mentioned day 2 and autophagy, and I had my caffeine withdrawals that day. That night was actually really hard for me to go to bed. I think I told you, I was like, I think I got night sweats. But the next day, I felt so
Yeah.
good. Like days 3 and 4, I was like, wow, I have all of this
Mhm.
energy. I almost did the cleanse for a couple of reasons. Like, I wanted to go through a caffeine cleanse because as nurses, we drink lots of caffeine and we drink energy drinks that are really bad for the gut. So it did feel really good to finally like feel my gut getting cleansed from like the inside out. Like I was drinking water as well as the juices. I've seen some of your videos on Instagram where you're using sound bowl frequency to give energy to your ingredients. Tell me about your process and like how you choose the ingredients and what you do.
So I'll start with the physical side. Most people can grab onto this. So on the physical side, I do have a bit of medical background. I should do electrocardiogram, or I should do. I was an EKG tech in the hospitals for, gosh, like 5 or 6 years. I graduated high school and then went straight into that because I wanted to be a nurse anesthetist, but things, yeah, yeah, but just didn't work out for me.
This,
I was in the
I love
hospital.
this.
Quick little story. I was in the hospital, and then I got to see like everything. I'm like, I can't do this. So yeah, that changed quickly. So, but what I do is I essentially I look at what the body needs, right? And to understand that, I had to understand how each system worked. So if you know how each system works, and then you understand what fuel sources those systems need. For example, a thyroid needs iodine. That's its main fuel source. So if we're gonna help treat, and I don't say treat, but if we're gonna help assist people in what their symptoms are, what diseases they are, or if they're trying to reverse something, then it's essential that we're putting in the proper nutrients or produces into those juices. So it wouldn't be ideal just to mix things together and go, hey, I made a juice, try it out. No, we need to make sure we have adequate amount of omega 3s. Do we have enough of potassium? Do we have enough magnesium in there? Is there enough iodine in there? Where are you getting the iodine from? Is it actually absorbable, or do we need to pair that iron with vitamin C so we can absorb it? There's a lot of factors that go into that if we're using it from a plant source, right? And so that is how we structured the juices. So I'm sure you noticed some juices had avocados, some didn't. Well, we need fat. You can't just go on a long-term cleanse and not have fat, but we can't just
Hmm.
have refined fat. No, we need unsaturated fat. Easiest fat for the body to break down. We need omega 3s to surround those cells, get them nice and healthy. So yeah, that's that side of things. Now from the energetic side of things, you live in a world where everything is vibrating, everything is constant, everything's a potential, right? The last thing you want to do is to consume food that is grown in a very commercial, industrial way. You can feel that, it's like if I give two people the same recipe, the dishes will taste completely different, right? You're tasting them, you're tasting their essence, so to speak, right? So, I've always heard from people, never eat a dish from an angry person. You don't want to do that. And I know it sounds a little far-fetched, but when you start to really put it into context, it's like, no, if someone's angry, I probably don't eat that dish. And so, same thing here. So, relating to the energy side of things, it's very similar to the physical side, right? But in the energetic side of things, it's like giving the recipe of a dish to two people. But if you give them that dish, you're going to have about they're going to taste completely different, so to speak, right? And so when we're dealing with produce, when they go to pick that produce, it goes from, the garden workers to the shipping drivers to the packing house, then to the grocery stores, and then to you. So think of all the different hands or energies that are touching and moving that produce around. And so for us, I would love to limit the amount of times that produce exchanges hands, right? So there's a lot of local sourcing that we use. And then there are times like there are certain ingredients like pineapples. I cannot get that grown here locally. It's not going to happen. So there are instances where we do have to go out and do that. And so we try to utilize the best practices that we can. And then to help offset that, that is where, hey, we can play the sound bowl and induce frequencies into the actual produce and into just our juice bar in general. What we're really doing is we're re-establishing the ebbs and flow of the environment. And because produce is full of water and water holds that memory, now we can change the molecular structure of that too as well. Essentially, we're kind of stepping into like the quantum realms, right? If you understand quantum physics, you kind of get the idea of what I'm speaking about, And so yeah, that's, at least for me, I think that's why so many people benefit a lot drinking our juices. They can taste the love in the juices. So yeah.
Yeah. You truly can, and they're absolutely delicious. Since we are speaking to the nurses and the healthcare workers, how do you believe juices can help a busy nurse or a healthcare worker? Like for someone like me who had never started before, like I'm in my 30s, had never thought about doing juicing, mostly because I feel like when I did the master cleanse 10 or 15 years ago, it just wasn't sustainable. So what is the sustainable way to incorporate juices into a lifestyle? Because now we know all the benefits for someone like a busy nurse.
Getting a juice in a day, right? So I think the first thing you have to do is you have to create a system that works for you. And so if someone is very busy, we already know you're probably not going to stick to getting a juicer, juicing it yourself, because it's time consuming. And so that is where you want to look for a way where you can get juices either delivered to your home, or if you're going shopping and you have a good cold press raw, has to be raw, cold press juice from a local grocery store that fits the ingredient profile that you're looking for. That is what you want to really focus on. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have a system that supports what you're trying to do, then it's very easy to fall off. So let's use, my dad's a nurse. I'll use him as an example. He's in ICU, works night shifts. So my dad has juices in his from our juice bar in his fridge, right? So all he does is my mom makes his meals for him, and it's as simple as grabbing the juice, putting it into his his lunch box or lunch pail, and then taking it to work, right? And having that one juice a day, just that one juice a day, will change his body's physiology, the physiology of his body and the chemistry of his body completely, right? If you're in an environment where you're dealing with helping patients that are sick, you're exposed to so much more viruses and bacteria, right? So now your immune system in general is working way harder than, say, someone like me who's outside of that environment. So in the case of a nurse, it's way more important to boost that immune system and then to support that immune system being boosted, right? So focusing on whole foods while incorporating that juice, having that juice every day. So it's more of like having a subscription service or being able to get that juice and incorporate that juice just at least once a day. Just that would change your body for the better.
So if you aren't doing, let's say, like the 3-day or 5-day or 7-day cleanse, and you were to do once a day, is there a specific time of day that's best to have your one juice a day?
Obviously, it's a tricky question, but I'll try to make it simple as possible, right? So there's two ways. Two of the best times that I see doing it are either when you break your fast in the morning, so you can prolong the fasting from sleeping, okay? And when I say fasting, yes, you're ingesting the produce, right? So essentially, the body is now metabolizing, but because it's so light and there's so much, and it's so micronutrient dense, what we're really doing is we're actually prolonging that fasting period just a bit longer. Now, you can also do it at the end of the day, right before you go to bed. Because if you go to bed and now you just release tons of micro and phytonutrients into your diet around like 7 o'clock, now your body's going to pull from that as it's healing throughout the night. Very easy, right? Because your juicing only takes 20 minutes for your body to absorb it. So now it has all these building material to rebuild the body while you're sleeping. That's what I do personally. I do it at the end of the night. Now, if you're
Hmm.
someone that's super active and you're training or you're doing a lot of cardio, you actually may want to take that after the workout actually, because of well, it's structured waters essentially. So if you can take that, helps put back the charge, the ions, back into the cells or the muscle tissues, and yeah,
That's a good answer because it's
yeah.
customized to the person's lifestyle. I say the same thing. So when I build
Hmm.
a health
Yeah,
program, it's custom because it has to be based on what time are you day
yeah,
shift or night shift? When do you utilize the most
hmm,
energy throughout the day? That
yeah.
makes complete sense. And are these different juices, would you say like different ingredients if you were to have it in the morning versus right
Um,
before bed?
okay. So depending on the person, yes and no, right? So, like if
Yeah.
you're a healthy person, metabolically you're sound, right? You're you're healthy, right? Then you can have pretty much the same juices every day of the week. Now, I of course I always say be diverse. So do have
Hmm.
different juices because there is a benefit to having a big diversity. The microbiome loves diversity. If you can really make your biome diverse, your immune, most people don't realize that, but your immune system is literally the microbiota, right? This is where it starts at. So if you can if you're consuming 15, 20 different types of produces throughout the week, and it's easy if you're juicing them, imagine how diverse your microbiome is. Amazing, you know? So being diverse is always a good thing. Now, if you're someone that is going through some type of dis-ease, whether it's skin related, gut related, could be cardiovascular related. Now you might want to be a bit more specific. So you might be a bit like if you're cardiovascular related, you might want to have more dietary nitrates from the beets per se, right? To help relax the artery lining, right? Or to allow those blood vessels to dilate better, right? To help with the cardiovascular system to get it back online the way it needs to be. So you might have more beets in your juices, but you still be diverse with the type of ingredients you use with that beet, right? So again, it's very specific to the individual itself.
Love that. What would you say are the top five fruits that you use to make your
Yeah.
juices, fruits or
Um,
vegetables?
I wouldn't put them in say one is better or the other, but these are the five like base that I use in all of the juices. So beets,
Hmm.
dietary nitrates, and the type of carotenoids and flavonoids and polyphenols that they have are just amazing for cardiovascular health. Super essential. Believe it or not, pineapple. Pineapple, I think, should be a superfood. So, of course, you have tons of magnesium, but the key thing here is the bromelain. The bromelain serves so many different purposes from inducing apoptosis in cancer cells, anti-cancer fighting, of course. And then the bromelain also helps regulate cholesterol. It can break the cholesterol deposits too. So pineapple's really good. Of course, dark leafy greens. I always go for spinach, right? And spinach just has a bunch of iron in there, and of course, all has folates and all other amazing things. Number four is actually not a fruit or a vegetable, but a seed that we blend into the juices, which is hemp hearts. Now, hemp hearts are loaded with omega 3s. And well, actually, the omega 3 to 6 ratio is perfect, but it's rich in omega 3s. Has 100% of your daily dose of magnesium. Gives us magnesium, zinc, iron, potassium. Just amazing superfood. That's number four. Number five would probably be blue spirulina. We use blue spirulina in some of our juices, and I mean, you're getting 100% of your daily dose of vitamin B12. That's just insane, just amazing. So, those would be the five that we use here in our juice bar, and you can get those too in the general, grocery outlets, and yeah,
Another question, because I know that this is a common one. When it comes to juices, like do you use it? How do you language it? Is it a supplement? Is it
yeah.
a meal
So,
replacement?
depending on the amount that you're having, it can be a meal replacement. If you're drinking like 5 ounces, I wouldn't consider that a meal replacement. It's more of a supplementation. Right. So
Hmm.
a good juice, a 16-ounce juice, is going to have probably 3 or 4 servings of fruits and vegetables in it. That is a lot, just minus the fiber. But you can add fiber by infusing avocados into it. So now there's your dairy fiber, and your hemp parts add fiber to it too as well. So now we can get that into a complete meal. And I think some of the juices you had that in there. So I'm sure some are more filling than others. So yeah, you can consider them a complete meal replacement. However, juicing is just one part of it. Still eat the food. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Well, I just want to say thank you, John, because after the 7 days of cleansing, I felt so amazing. And Adrian is already asking when he can do his cleanse. And I'm so excited to share this with the nurses. You are so knowledgeable. That's why they call you the Alchemist. You've done so much research on all of this, and I understand that everything is customized. So for nurses that have questions or nurses that are wanting to start their first juice cleanse, how do they get in touch with you?
Good old phone calls. Let's give us a call. But also free consultations with me too as well. I tell everyone, bring your lab work, bring whatever you want to bring. I can get very specific, and we can make sure we get you back on track. And then of course our website. We're an online-based juice bar, so devinejuicery.com, and I have presets on there already. So for cancer chemotherapy, thyroid, gut, all kinds of things that will help get you back to where you need to be at.
Amazing. And yes, that was one of the best things that you told me, that you are able to ship. So tell us how that process works for you for shipping juices.
So we ship nationwide except Alaska and Hawaii. I'm sorry, guys. I can't get you guys just yet. But yeah, we ship nationwide, and typically we can get them to you guys within, shipping transit time's about 1 to 2 days from when we ship out of our actual commercial kitchen. And then depending on how busy, first of the year, it can take 4 to 5 days to get to you because there's a lot of orders, and it's just my wife and I, and we have 2 employees that we brought on. So trust me, it's a small team, but we don't just hire anyone. It's very intimate. So it's to ensure quality control, because at the end of the day, I'm pretty particular about stuff, so it's got to be perfect. But typically about 1 to 3 days, you can expect your orders to arrive.
Okay. And they come, I remember when I got mine, they came like
Yeah.
completely frozen and with amazing instructions on like having them in the freezer and putting them in the refrigerator like the day before.
And so like, it has all the instructions on there. And the cool thing about it too is we also offer people, anyone that buys anything from us, you just call in and you give me exactly what you're going through, what your palate flavor is, so the type of foods that you like, what you're allergic to, and then I make a custom meal guide just for that. So it's a meal guide that once you're done doing the cleanse, or if you're just getting juices for the week, we can tailor it to where when you're consuming your foods, you're pairing that someday with one of the juices too as well. So every meal should be geared towards healing, whatever you're trying to accomplish.
Love that. All right, John, any last words for our nurses or healthcare workers regarding juicing?
Yeah, I would tell you guys are doing an amazing job. I know you guys work hard. I've seen you guys when I used to do EKG work, and those 12-hour shifts are no joke. So you guys keep helping individuals, saving lives, and being a good representation for the world. So thank you guys for your hard work. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. So grateful.